Hi, you guys. Welcome back to the show. You already know I'm Chandelier the esthetician, but guys, ignore me because I am so excited for our special guest. You see her, you know her. And if you're familiar with the 60-second rule, Golden RX Skin Studio, or just all of the viral educational content that has led us all to become estheticians, then you know her. So I'm excited to welcome my special guest, Nye, aka LaBeautyologist, to the show. Welcome.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having me. And thank you everyone for listening. This is exciting.
Girl, thanks for being here. We are all geeked. I can promise you. Super excited to dive into your journey. And really, I know a lot of people, we're familiar with what's shared on the internet, but I think this is a great opportunity for you to give that knowledge to people who may have not heard of you before, how you got your start, and what made you fall in love with skincare, which is a lot of questions. So let's start with the first part.
Okay. The first part was how I got my start.
Yes.
Okay. So I actually started all right, I'm trying to figure out how far back I'll go. My mom was a cosmetologist. She got her cosmetology license, but she didn't practice. She kind of just used the knowledge that she had, like to know how to do hair. She used to do my hair a lot, my friend's hair a lot. And that is foundational for me because that's where I got the concept that like beauty isn't this thing that just like makes you pretty. It's actually something that like builds community and makes you feel cared for and loved. And that beauty comes in all different shapes and sizes, and there's different ways to emphasize it. Like all of that came from my mom being a cosmetologist. So that's where I'd say like is very foundational. Second, on top of that is that so in cosmetology school, you learn hair, skin, and nails, but she only cared about hair. So she used to have all this stuff, like nail stuff, just lying around the house. So I, being like very artistically kind of girl, I used to just play with her nails. I would, do manicures for myself, for friends. I do nail art, and I got really, 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 really into doing nails. So when I went to college and I was studying anthropology and political science, I also had a nail business like in my dorm room.
Shut up.
Nice nails. My friends know. I would do all my friends' nails. They'd let me just do whatever they wanted to them. And then they'd go to class and then they'd have like my business cards just in case anybody ever asks like about their nails. And lots of people asked because I was just doing like fun stuff on their nails. And of course, when you are like on campus, you're looking, you're in like, the city, you're looking for places to get your nails done. Who does your nails? Oh, blah, 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 blah. So then they'd give, oh, my roommate does it. So yeah, so that was marketing plan. I had business cards and everything. I had a sign on my door. Even people to this day, I'm sure there are people who went to school with me. I went to University at Albany. I'm sure there's people who know Nye's nails but don't necessarily know me.
That's crazy. There's a whole version of you that people know. That's just
absolutely, yeah. I remember we would have like our dorm room open sometimes, and I had like the Niles Nails sign on the door, like I did this for this amount of money, did this for this amount of money, whatever. It's like $5 for a manicure and like I don't know, maybe $7 for your eyebrow wax or something like that. Anyway, it was very, very cheap, but back in the day, $5 in college could go a long way. So, yeah. I remember one time we were just hanging out in the living room and someone walked by and I overheard them say, "Oh, that's where Nye's Nails is." It's like, oh, like you knew, you knew.
What? You heard of me?
Knew who I was. I was like, period. I'm good at this. But that was just like a really cool moment. I was like, damn, I must be doing good at this. Anyway, so I actually didn't finish college. I dropped out. I wasn't doing well in school. I had a lot going on. But I was like, okay, I need to figure out what to do. Like I need to do something. And I was always great at nails. I was always very accomplished as a nail tech, and it's fun. So I was like, all right, let me just try and do this thing. Like going from college to like a trade school isn't really. My parents were making immigrant parents. They don't like that shit.
Really was mad. They was hot.
So yeah, I mean, they weren't really proud of my choices, but they're like, whatever, go with it.
Do what you want.
Right. So I became a nail tech. I went to nail school, became a nail tech. And I was actually a really good nail tech. I ended up working at one of like the bigger spas in my area. And
Mm-hmm.
there, that's where I learned more about aesthetics and skincare, because that spa was a full service spa. So they did hair, skin, massage, nails, all of that fun stuff. And that's where I really started to learn. I would like eavesdrop on like the estheticians talking like in their like skincare meetings with PCA. And be like, what are they talking about? Like it sounded so cool, like the acids of science. And like I love science, right? Like
Yes.
I went to school for anthropology and political science. Like they're anthropology is kind of hard to describe for those who don't know necessarily, but it's like the science of culture, more or less, or like the biology of culture, like how it all comes to be. So I love like the cultural aspect of like beauty and skincare, and like it felt like a really natural way for me to kind of use all of my interests. I got to be creative. I got to take care of people. I got to understand like people's different cultural dynamics. I got to really like dive into the science. So that was all super fun for me. But where I was working, they didn't need me as an esthetician. I was a nail tech. I was a really good nail tech. I was booked out. Like they did not need me to be an esthetician at all. They wanted
like, sit down, stay where
you're
at.
Right. So I was like, if I am to be an esthetician, I want to be a really good esthetician. I'm kind of like peak at where I can grow here. I don't necessarily want to go anywhere else. I'm still living at home with my family, my parents, and I'm like, why not just move to LA? LA felt like of skincare, you know, and like skincare knowledge, skincare, like just beauty. Like LA really moves the skincare industry forward into like what people are willing to do, what the industry is willing to do, whether it's beauty, aesthetics, I don't want not necessarily hair, but definitely like in like the wellness, health and wellness aspect of it.
Yes.
And I had gone to California for Coachella, just like with a friend. And I got to California and I was like, oh, I love it here. Like, what if I just stay? I didn't do that, but I was like, what if I just miss my flight? Like,
and they never got home.
What if, you know? So I started like looking it up, and I did like my little cost of living calculator. And I live in I'm from New York, so I'm like or upstate New York, but cost of living wasn't that different where I felt like I couldn't do this. So I started to plan to move to LA. And so I moved to LA. Do
you have family in LA or anything?
I didn't know anything. I had one friend from college and one like ex-situationship type of thing, but I didn't even tell him I was moving. I just knew that he lived there, and then I also knew of a friend in college who lived there, and then that was it, honestly. I figured, why not? I was 25. I was living at home, so I was able to save a lot of money, like all of my tip money from working at the spa. Thankfully, it was quite a bit of tip money. Truthfully, nice. $1,500 just from the year in tip that I was able to save. I mean, I was a really good nail tech. I was really good. I'm not even gonna lie. It was very good. They were very, very mad when I left. But yeah, I just saved up all of my money. I stopped doing anything fun. And I moved to LA. I was like, if I'm going to do this, like, I want to be a really, really, really good nail tech or esthetician. And I feel like I have to be into California to do that. So that's just what I did.
Oh my gosh. And so can I ask you, because I'm so big on like how people brand themselves, right? Like when you did your username and you were making your overall handle, were you thinking like, wow, this is going to be something that is insanely known? Or were you just like, I'm going to go with this works? Like, how did the nameology come?
Okay, so that's funny. Okay, so the ology part came because I love science, and like I really wanted to focus on the science of skincare and the science of beauty. I started posting on YouTube in 2016, and that was right on the heels of the natural hair like movement on YouTube. And I remember like looking up things to do to my hair because I had just gone natural maybe a couple years before that. And I stumbled across it was like a avocado, castor oil, and banana and mayonnaise mask or something like that. So I blend all this stuff up and I put it in my hair, and I ended up picking out banana pieces out of my hair for like 3 days. It was absolutely disgusting. And that's when I realized I was like, I need an expert. I was like,
Yes.
I don't like this DIY thing. Like, this is really ridiculous. And then it dawned on me that, like, if there are people who are doing this for hair, like, I'm not a hair girl, I don't like doing hair, but skin needs an expert too. Like, we're doing all this type of baking soda and apple sauce. Like,
Right.
it's getting ridiculous. Apple cider vinegar, like, enough. Like, where are the experts? And I was like, I need to fill that gap to, like, be a teacher in this space. And that actually what inspired me was the natural hair move, because I was like, this is stupid. Like, what are we doing? There's has to be like a real, there's got to be like real science and data. And then I also, like, me personally, I always struggled with like ingrown hairs growing up and hair removal. And I was always a very, very hairy girl, but I also didn't like to wear a lot of clothes. So I'm like trying to figure out how to manage. And I just realized that, like, there's such a gap in information. And I just wanted to fill the gap in information. So, like, that was really like what my goal was. So that's like where the ology sciencey part came in. But it actually, my handle used to be the Beautyologist. And it was the Beautyologist, but I couldn't get it the same on Instagram and Twitter, and I had an underscore. And my now husband, we had just met at the time, and we met because I was just like, oh, I need a photographer to work with, like, all the time. So I was like talking to him about my business and stuff, and he was like, you have to get that underscore out of there, like, it's bad. And I was like, really, it's that bad? And I was like, I don't like it either, but he was like, no, it's not good branding, like, think of something else. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm in LA, so LA Beautyologist instead. And it matched on both. And then I was like, well, Los Angeles is very Spanish speaking. And I love Spanish. I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker, but I'm a iffy-ish Spanish. Like, I can communicate, like, when necessary.
We can be in the mix.
Right. So whether it's LA Beautyologist or LaBeautyologist, because La is the same as the, that's like,
yes,
flipped it. I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. Like, this is way better. This looks way better. So yeah, from a long, like, when I first started, it was LaBeautyologist. But then it made sense for it to just be LA Beautyologist. So I have always kind of flipped back and forth between the two, but it's funny how it just worked out very, very perfectly.
That is crazy. And honestly, like, it reads both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I love when I see people who are like insanely intentional, especially when I'm talking to other like service providers. It's just really important that it does read legibly, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I love a good long scenic route.
Yeah.
Too, but we got to get to it.
Sometimes you gotta keep it simple. Like, let's keep this concise, please.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good to hear that too. And I also believe, the name means a lot. It can mean what you want though.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I can hear someone share like their thought and their journey behind it, it's always cool because there's always a fun little story that comes in with it. And sometimes people don't even know, like, I mean, how often do you tell people that's your nameology of your brand? When did you realize that, like, damn, not only was I eating at nails, but I'm also eating in the skincare game? Like, when did that moment hit for you that it was transcending?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have no idea. Because I think skin, I always felt a lot of pressure because, like, nails, you could do a bad job on someone's nails, like, who cares? You mess up someone's face, like, I take this really, really seriously personally. Like, some, like, I've had people come into my studio, like, and like, they're like, oh my god, I'm so nervous to take their makeup off, or like, just something like that, like showing your bare skin and taking your makeup off and someone feeling really, really vulnerable in that moment. Like, I take that so seriously. So, like, I never really get too complacent with, like, oh, I'm good at this, I know what I'm doing. No, like, every single time I'm like, okay, put my serious hat on, like, my glasses, like, what are we doing here? But I did have a client. She had pretty bad acne on her cheeks. Well, there's multiple times. So we did the treatment. And then I took like a before and after, because I always take before and afters. And even just at the end of the treatment, her acne looked significantly better. I was like, nice. Is it a fluke? So then I have her come in with like severe acne clients. I'll have them come in at like the 10 or 14 week mark, just because I want to make sure that, like, I'm really getting it good. And something I think is important as just like an esthetician, but any beauty service provider, just a service provider in general, you have to be like better than everybody else in some type of way. So I felt like my better was to clear, whether it's acne or hyperpigmentation, do it faster. Like I wanted it to be done. So like I was willing to see her more often. So this is just like a complimentary treatment that I would have her come into, but I wanted it to be good. So
Yeah.
I had her come in, I think, I want to say like 11, 12 day mark. And her acne was so much better just in 10 days. And I was like,
Yeah.
holy shit, am I? So
Changing lives.
so like I did another like more like hydrating treatment on her. And that before and after, I can't say that I went viral, but I know that before and after brought me in a ton of clients, because it was actually really remarkable, the dramatic difference in her before and after just within 10 days. So that's when I started to be like, I guess I am good at this. And then I had another client. We had to stop treatment during the pandemic. But she had messaged me maybe like a few months later saying that her skin was completely clear, and that her skin completely turned around. And she had very severe acne. I would say like level 4 acne. She had tried a whole bunch of things. She had tried Accutane. Her face was painful, very like red and
That's
inflamed.
always the worst. You always feel for
And then she sent me a picture, and I was like, no acne. Like her skin was clear. I was like, oh my God. Cool. Wow, look at that. So yeah, I know that I am a great esthetician, but I don't ever rest on my laurels, because I don't think that's fair. Like when I go to service providers, I want them to do their best work on me. So I always take that very seriously, and I do my best work on everybody else. Hopefully I, try to do my best.
That's amazing. It is so inspiring to hear that was something that you mentioned about, as estheticians, there is a amount of pressure of being an expert, right? And rising to the occasion of being educated and seeking out that knowledge. But also something that you mentioned too was really being the best at something, right? Yeah. I always think it's so good to talk about that, because maybe it's not maybe the actual facial service, but depending wherever you are, there's always some space for you to grow and be better than before, right? And so looking at that and hearing that was a big pillar for you, I think that can inspire a lot of other service providers out there who don't feel like they've found their niche just yet.
Right. Yeah.
What would you recommend for people who still feel like maybe they're just getting started in this industry and they don't really know where their footing is, and they're still trying to find that?
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say is to be open. Like be open, be very experimental, be very wide-eyed, big-eared. Like you never really know where you'll fall into. The beauty industry, aesthetic industry is very, very big. Like you can focus on brows, you can focus on waxing, you can focus on just Brazilian waxing, you can focus on lashes, you can focus on corrective skincare, you can focus on holistic skincare, you can focus on massaging. Like there's so many different elements. So I'd really say like be open to learning, and just try a lot of things, because you never really know like where all of your skill sets will fall into place, and just like magically you just like, oh, this is my thing. Like you were struggling this whole time and now you finally found your thing. So I definitely would say like be willing to try new things. I always say go to the conferences, because the conferences open you up to a lot of things in the industry that you didn't know about, and you're able to go to classes to learn more information, and really just follow like where your curiosity lies and what really feels good to you, and based on like your talents. And that also leads me into like I teach this in my masterclass, but I always talk about your aesthetic philosophy. Like everyone has like you need to think about like what you bring to the beauty industry, what your perspective is, why that is your perspective, whether it's because you had acne and you always struggled, or for my case, I was always trying to remove body hair without, hyperpigmentation and ingrown hairs. And that was a struggle for me. And then that's when I realized that like, wait, there's not a lot of information for skin. And that's when I realized that that's the avenue that I needed to like really focus in on. Or for example, just like a style of beauty that you don't see frequented, and all of those things, all of those parts of your journey of like who you are and why you are the way you are and how you got here. Even like I use like my anthropology lens in my beauty, because like that is all me, and like those are all the things that are going to attract people to me. So really focusing on like what your aesthetic philosophy is, what you believe about beauty, what you want more of them there to be in beauty, what gaps that you can fill in the industry. All of these things based on like who you are is really, really, really important. I think it can be hard sometimes to like really tap into that because the industry is really noisy. Like there's a lot going on, like not even like just the industry, but then you get on like TikTok and there's all these crazy trends and there's all these new ingredients and yada, yada, yada. You know, like you kind of have to block all of that out and just think about you and like who, if you could be like your own dream client or find your own dream esthetician, like what does that mean? And be very, very specific about it. Like don't feel any way about alienating people. Like a whole book, you really only need like 50 to 100 clients a month, barely that, you know, like maybe 50 to 100 over 2 months. That's not that many people, truthfully. So like, better off like really, really zoning in on like what you can do best, and that's how you'll stand out. You'll never stand out just trying to be like everybody else because somebody's already doing it. So you really have to like lock in on like, who am I? What can I bring to the table? And bring things in that are unique and different to you. If you are Mexican, if you're Jamaican, if you are an immigrant, if you know what I mean? Like if all these struggles, all the things that you've gone through, like you have to like add that into like who you are. And yeah, and like have fun with it. Be very, be creative, you know, like keep your mind open to like possibilities.
Girl, you said so many words there. Like, I mean, like a word was said. Do you know, like when you mentioned specifically about how there's just so many people out there, if you don't find what makes you unique, right? And you don't lean into that, like you're never going to get where you're going trying to replicate what other people are doing if it's not authentic to you. It's great to take inspiration, but it's important to be mindful. Like, does this hit home for me? And I think that was honestly, transparently speaking, I feel like that was something that when I was coming into the industry, like you see all of these things, right? It's very shiny. So you're like, oh, that must be for me.
Yeah.
And you find out that brands don't necessarily align with your morals, your values, your compass, right? And it's hard to stand on business sometimes when you don't feel like you are empowered to do so because you need to follow the trends or you need to do this to be credible. And so it's just refreshing to hear you say that, like, don't be afraid to say these are the people that I serve. And if I don't serve you, like, it's not for you. Like,
it's fine. Like, for example, I have always been, not always, but I increasingly grew anti-vitamin C. And it was always very controversial. I remember one time I accidentally said it in like a meeting. It was like for like PCA, and like their head esthetician was a Black woman. And I was like, yeah, I'm not a fan of vitamin C. She was like, what? And all the studies and da-da-da. But like, for me, I'm focusing on women of color, brown skin, right? So like, yeah, vitamin C will do like some cool things, but like if I'm talking to my brown skin clients, that's not really the thing that's going to propel their skincare needs, you know? Like it doesn't really, it's not like a shining star ingredient for them. So no, I don't really care about it. I don't care who it really works for because the people who it works for are not my people. So you really have to like be willing to like, you know, and that goes for everything. Like I'm sure there are some like there's estheticians who don't like steam. I love steam personally, but you know, like if you hate steam, stand 10 toes on it. Who am I? You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot of things like that where you really have to kind of like think of in your brain, like, who am I serving? And if this thing doesn't serve them, like, it doesn't matter how popular it is. Like, maybe
because when we think about
like, you know, like maybe you know something that we don't. So
exactly. No, I think you're absolutely on the mark, you know, and when we think of like going to these conferences and stuff, like they have a goal too, right? And it's to sell their product to you, and or to get you to purchase their product. And, you know, I think there was a whole wave where people were going this line of like equipment based and like equipment is generating results. We're seeing a turn. We're seeing a turn. We're seeing a little bit of a shift in that because people are just recognizing like that is not what's going to bring people through your door. You have a $30,000 machine. Don't mean they're coming.
No, that's 100% true. And then the thing with them, I personally have never seen a machine do anything that a really skilled esthetician couldn't do. So it's like, yeah, I could buy the machine, but then I won't get as good as I could be. You know, like I literally have never seen a machine do anything that hands couldn't do. And if you don't have the skill to get there yet, okay, sure, buy the machine or learn how to do it. So that, I mean, and when I realized that, I was like, I cannot be swayed by like literally anything. Like maybe, I'm not saying I'd never take on a machine. I do have some like smaller devices, but like it's not like the crux of my business. But maybe you are obsessed with hydrofacials. Go for it. Be the hydrofacial girl in your city. Like, I'm not saying, you know what I mean? That's just not my story and not my calling, but it could be someone else's. So again, like you have to really be true to like what you want to do. Like you literally, like you can't just follow me, or like anyone can't just follow you or what you want to do. Like you really have to like think in your head, like in your heart, like who am I and who am I serving? And like that's how you figure out, you know, what device to buy or what product or what services to offer or whatever it is.
Man, you know, you've always, what I have seen in your content, and I mean, you are someone who has inspired me to become an esthetician, like many other estheticians out there, girl. The amount of messages I get where it's like your name, my name, and another gal, it's like, oh, okay, cool. But you've always prioritized education and accessibility. Where do you think the industry is failing when it comes to how we educate clients and new estheticians? Do you think that as an industry, we should be taking more accountability? Or is that on the brands? Like, where do you think that gap is happening?
Yeah, I think there's a very huge gap. I hate it. I don't want to say that I necessarily wish that like aesthetic school was harder, but I kind of do. There's a very low barrier to entry, which is beautiful for those who don't necessarily have a lot of money or struggled in college or, you know, whatever it is. And that I appreciate, but it kind of sets us up for failure because we get out of school at the other end and are not prepared for you know, to be great estheticians. We're not prepared to treat our clients with the best care. And that does a disservice to like the aesthetic community, but also to like the people that we want to serve. You know, like you want to be a great esthetician. I know no one wants to be an all bad esthetician. Right? So like I do wish that like we had some type of structured continuing education that maybe was more like state mandated, that so that it could be more regulated versus just like, oh, whatever I want to learn. And brands, I can't necessarily say that it's on them because brands offer a lot of education as well, but brand education is only going to go as far as the products that you have or that they offer, and it's only going to go as far as that brand's ethos and like what they believe and what they care about. And a lot of those brands are not led by people of color, so you're also experiencing a gap in that information as well. So personally, I think that it's the state's fault. You know, like I think it's the board's fault for estheticians not feeling confident or having to spend all this additional money on continuing education and having to get continuing education from just like, you know, random people, not random, but like, you know, other professionals in the industry or brands in the industry. I definitely wish that it was a lot more like structured and curated and thoughtful in that way. I think, that's...
I love that perspective because I feel like one of the things, you know, and somebody, so I got into a whole conversation with somebody once, but it was pretty much like, no, people need to stay out of our business. Let us do what we're doing. And I hear that, but then we also find ourselves in situations where we have these viral incidents where, you know, if just knowledge was a little bit more accessible, and I mean like a little bit of knowledge, right? Like we don't need that much. Like, you made a video about how IPL is not for Black people. It's not for brown skin. And making that type of video is like, that's how much is it to ask to be able to have that standardized information and knowledge.
And even when I saw that happen, I was kind of appalled because I'm like, who is using IPL on a Black person? Like, what are we doing? Why would you do that?
All the time. And think about the people who suffer in silence, who don't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where they're just like, I got burned, skin melted off. Like,
it happens all the time. In our industry, I mean, with laser, it could either be estheticians or nurses doing it, but it happens often. Like it happens with Black people, it happens with darker skin like Latinas and people who are of Indian and Desi descent. Like it happens all the time. It pisses me off. Like brown people are set to be over 50% of the population come, I don't know, like in the next 25 years. There shouldn't be this big of a gap still in the industry when it comes to treating other type of skin tones. Like it's really absurd to me. Like I really just want to be like, what are y'all doing? Like, are you even trying?
Well, and it's really the negligence that bothers me, where like I think it's it's your own responsibility to make sure you're educated in the services that you're offering on everybody that you're offering them on, right? And like, everybody has to learn. So I get that there's a space for that. But my mom, in fact, one of the reasons I became an esthetician, my mom was, she suffered second-degree burns on her face from a chemical peel performed by a practitioner who just was not educated in the depths of how that was going to interact with her particular skin pigmentation. And it left her completely, with a low self-esteem, but also thinking to herself that she should have did something. And it's like, consumer knowledge is important, but no.
I don't put it on the consumers at all. I don't think so. Personally, if you go somewhere and you want a treatment, it is on the professional to say, no, this treatment isn't for you. Or sometimes practitioners will say you can't do this treatment, even though they can. They're just not knowledgeable in it. I prefer them say that they can't do it than to try and mess up. Like if someone says they can't do it, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, okay, they're not knowledgeable enough. They lost your business, whatever. However, that I will take over someone saying, sure, not really knowing how to do it and messing someone up. Because sometimes that scar or that disfigurement, like sometimes it only lasts a few months, sometimes it's only a year, but sometimes it's longer than that. Sometimes it's for the rest of their life, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. All because you weren't willing to do a Google search before you decided to do their treatment. Like really, that's like you could have just looked this up ahead of time.
Literally, it's in a textbook.
So no, I will almost always blame the practitioner. Truthfully,
you said when you see the videos, you're like, and it was her fault.
Yeah, it is. It is like if you are the business owner, if you decided to do this job, then it's your responsibility. Like that's it. That's if you didn't want the responsibility, don't do the job. That's all I can say.
Well, let me ask you something, because I've noticed that too. It's been, and maybe this is the best time to talk about it, but here recently, it's been a lot of policing in the industry of like other service providers looking at other people and what they're doing and then saying like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or that's out of scope, or you have no business doing that. I don't know if you've seen just some of the conversation that's been taking place about this, but what are your thoughts about service providers coming and then coming from that place of saying like, oh no, you're wrong in your perspective of your idea? Like, how do you feel about that being conversation in the industry right now?
I think that there's a way to do it that is respectful. Like I'm really big on like, you don't have to agree with everyone. And also I don't think you have to necessarily like play nice. Like you don't have to like if you think what somebody else is doing, you can honestly respectfully be like, personally, I wouldn't do that for X, Y, and Z. But I think that it is, you can do it, you can say it, and you can do it without being intentionally like pointed and disrespectful. I think sometimes people want to be pointed and disrespectful. And if you want to be pointed and disrespectful, I mean, like, then, there are, consequences, for being that way. So like if you want to go out of your way and dog some esthetician down the street or dog an esthetician that you see on social media, and now it's like a whole big fight, well, that was on you. You know what I mean? Like that's what you asked for. That's what you wanted. But I think that you can say like, I wouldn't do that. I don't like that for X, Y, and Z. Or you can say, I do this for X, Y, and Z reason. And you can frame it respectfully, and you can frame it as like a difference of opinion instead of framing it as if, trying to necessarily get someone canceled or trying to get someone's license taken away. Like I think that you can do, I mean, unless someone's doing something extremely harmful, like that example, I believe the girl's name was Sabrina, who got the very bad chemical burn. that was awful. Like that's like when you're causing harm to people,
Seriously.
that is different. And then when you're being absolutely like egregious with your professional behavior, that's different. But if someone is recommending someone do, I'm trying to think of something that's like an example. I don't know.
Well, like recently somebody recommended a friend read a book.
Yeah.
That
doesn't sound bad to me out of context. Like I don't necessarily know.
It's out of context for sure. But it's like a recommendation of like, oh, hey, I recommend you use this product because whatever or something.
I think people can get very what's the word? Very not necessarily defensive, but protective over like their craft and like their knowledge. I think it's good for estheticians to not be defensive, but if someone is coming at you offensively and you get defensive over that, I get that.
Well, I just feel like a lot of new estheticians are afraid to even make content, right? Because
that is
they're
true.
afraid people are going to be like, oh, you're dermaplaning wrong, or and I know there's a way to do it and a way not to do it.
Yeah, well, truthfully, I don't think that you should be doing or trying services that you're not comfortable and confident in. Like, if I'm dermaplaning and I can't defend my decisions while dermaplaning, maybe you're not confident enough in dermaplaning. Maybe you just don't put it on social media yet until you actually know like why you chose not to wear gloves, why you chose to go over the acne, why, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, like I personally like to touch people's skin and feel people's skin. Some people are like, I'm very glove. Like at least be able to defend your position. And I think all of those choices you should be making intentionally. So if you can't defend your decision, maybe not post it, or at least do your due diligence to learn about why you are doing this thing this certain way so that you can defend it. Because we all work a little bit differently, and I think that is okay and that's fine. But at least know why you're doing what you're doing. Don't just go with the flow. Just if you're doing it just because your instructor did it, okay, sure. But like at least ask them why they do it that. Maybe they don't know either. Like it's worth asking. It's worth exploring.
I love that though, because so you're an educator as well, right?
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned your master class, and I'm a licensed educator as well. And I think I learned a lot in my transition from service provider to educator, just because it was honestly surprising to me the amount of people who didn't ask the why.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that too.
Oh, yeah,
like,
sometimes I'm in the class and I'm the only one asking questions, and I'm like, you guys gotta like, it can't just be me. Like, but my brain is always turning. It's like, why are you doing it that way? Okay, especially because I treat patients of color. Maybe that's where it comes from. Is that I have to be a lot more inquisitive about like a treatment to make sure that not only like is it safe for a person of color, but like is this even worth doing? Because sometimes a lot of treatments aren't worth doing on patients of color. It's not going to like make a big difference for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe that's why I ask so many questions, but you have to, especially when you are responsible for your own education in that way. A brand's not going to tell you everything. An instructor's not going to tell you. Like you have to always be kind of like probing and curious, because like this is like your practice. This is supposed to be something that you care deeply about. Like it's not a go with the motion type of career of whatsoever. You really have to be thinking all of the time.
Do you ever feel like, because I know you just recently, I mean, you've done some amazing things in this industry. Do you ever feel like you were uncertain of the path that you were on? Like, did you ever feel lost or like, what am I doing?
Yeah, often. Yeah, I do. There's been a few times where I felt lost. I think one of the first times is when so when I first moved to California, I worked at European Wax Center because I knew that they would hire. I knew that they hired right out of college, so I assumed that if they hired right out of school, then they would also hire right out. Like they would hire someone moving. So I knew a lot of jobs may not hire someone moving. It's like, oh, moving to LA, like everyone says they're moving to LA, like no one's really gonna hire you until you're actually there. So I figured European Wax Center would, and they did. And so I eventually stopped working at European Waxer after a year. And then I did feel kind of lost because I'm like, do I want to be a waxer? I know that I want to have my own practice, but like I don't really know how to do that. And I just moved in the direction of like what was working and what was going well for me. So at the time, I didn't have a lot of clients in California because I had just moved there and I was working at a wax center. So like I didn't have my own clientele build up. But I'm from New York and I had like a larger social platform in New York City. I looked at my analytics and it said that most of my followers were from New York. So I went to New York and I did a pop-up and I did facials there. Even though I didn't live there yet, I just did it for like a weekend to get practice, to get before and afters, to get clients talking about me. You really just have to go in the direction of like what you have, and what's working. And I ended up doing those pop-ups for, I want to say like a year and a half. It got to the point where I just couldn't do them anymore because my practice in California was so big. But it was so helpful because I had people all over the country talking about my services and how good they were and how much it helped their skin. And I have people to this day telling me that like a routine that I put together for them in like 2018, she said, she still uses and swears by, and every time she
still
says something different, her skin goes right back to it. So yeah, you really just have to like go in like your directions. You never really know, like, but I don't know, I feel like there's almost like a twinkle that you get when you're doing something that you like love or that excites you, and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like keep just following that like little twinkle. Like it's intangible. Like it's hard to describe like what that feeling is, but that following that feeling has always proved very, very helpful and successful for me, to just like keep going into the direction of the thing that like feels, not necessarily feels good or necessarily feels easy, but like feels right. Like, oh, I like when you're like hitting your groove and it's like, oh, I got this. Like I can do it. Like this is fun. Like I love this. Like, oh, I'm good at this. Like that is the thing that you need to like go in the direction of, even if you
Girl, it's so crazy you just said that. So I'm expanding my practice right now, and I was meeting with my board of directors, like my advisors and stuff, and I was like, man, you guys, like this is, I feel so scared. Like it's a weird way to describe it. It's like a fear feeling, but I'm not afraid. I'm just like, whoa, like hold up. So it's just so funny that you mention it, because I feel like all successful people, they do mention this like energetic flow. And it's just like it's steering you on the direction. So people who are listening, if you are if you're afraid or you feel like a little nervous, it might be because you're going in a direction that doesn't always align with comfort, right? But it aligns with what you need to be doing.
Yeah, definitely. And
So
as long as you get through the weeds, like it's always brighter on the other side of the weeds. There'll be weeds. It's not necessarily easy, but like on the other side, it's like, damn, like I'm so happy that I did that. Like it always puts you like in the right direction and right where you need to be.
Man, so were you afraid to, like, speaking of like being in the weeds, right? We know the statistics on Black service providers and Black estheticians in the industry. It's minuscule, it's low, it's growing, right? But being someone who is a huge representation for Black estheticians here in the industry, one, does that feel like pressure? And then two, what made you feel like you could answer that call?
Does it feel like pressure? Yes, it does, but not necessarily. Like I don't feel pressure when I'm the only Black esthetician in the room. I know that I'm very smart and I know that I'm very talented. And in lots of rooms, I've ran circles around everybody else, so I don't really care. I don't really care. Like I think I'm very proud to represent Black estheticians. And I'll help other service providers realize that they should probably start working with brown skin as well.
Yeah.
And to show other Black estheticians that you're needed in the room also. So not pressure in that way, but I do feel pressure. Like I want to make my community proud. You know what I mean? Like I want to make sure that like I am doing the right things and like I'm someone who like someone can look up to. So like that's where I feel pressure from. I take that part of it very seriously. I think that I don't know, like I love my community. Like I really do. It makes me
Aw,
um
girl, we love you.
but like
Seriously.
I want to make sure that I'm making people proud. So like that's where I feel pressure. Sorry, this is stupid. I fucking hate
It's
crying.
not stupid. It's not stupid. As someone who has those people saying that kind of stuff to them,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. So that's where I feel pressure. I feel pressure when I'm like opening and like I'm providing a service. I want to make sure that people feel cared for and like respected. I want to make sure people feel that I do a good job. Like I've had people fly. I think some girl flew from like Philadelphia or DC to LA to do my facial. And I'm like, oh, so like, I'm making small talk. I'm like, what else do you have going on today? She was like, just this. I was like, girl, what?
Make a mess.
Flew all the way here just from you. So
Wow.
in those aspects, I'm like, yeah, let me make sure I got my shit together. Because it's only right, it's only fair, and I'd want someone to do that for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do feel pressure in that way. And then you had another question that I can't remember.
Oh, I asked if you felt pressure, and then like, how did you feel comfortable to answer the call? Because it's a huge weight.
Yeah, it is. It is a huge weight. I don't know. I just like looked at the things that I was good at, and I was like, I am good at this. Like I'm good at speaking. I'm good at synthesizing information to making it simpler. I'm good at like learning about the skin. Like for some reason, it all just came together, and I was like, I am good at this. And like, there's been times where I've stepped back, and like no one has filled it. And it felt like God telling me, it's like, because it's got to be you, girl. Go.
It's you, girl.
Shit, fine. But yeah, like I truthfully don't know, but like I have a lot of what feel like unrelated skills that make me good at this one thing. So yeah, which is fine, really, really interesting. Like I used to I'm great in high pressure situations. I love being really, really good at things. I love, being the best. I am fine under competition. I'm fine. I am very competitive. Which I think gets a bad rap in the esthetician world and like as like just a female business owner.
Mm-hmm.
The word competitive competition is like, a 4-letter word. You're not allowed to be that. But I used to be an athlete, and I was a really good athlete. I was great, actually. I ran track for years. And I had a track scholarship, so I ran in college for a little bit.
What did you run?
The 400 and the 800.
Oh, nice. My son, he runs the 200 and the 400.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And then he does triple jump too. So.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, that's fun. Yeah,
we love track.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, like track is hard, but then also I was talking to another esthetician about this, Morgan Rackley. We were talking about how yes, it is good to be competitive, but also when you think about competitive, and for using a sports metaphor, you also get to pick who's on your team. So like it doesn't mean that like everyone is your enemy. It means that like I'm going to be great at this, and if you don't want to come with me to be great, that's cool. I'm not taking you with me. That's fine. I don't care. And I have been asked, like, how do you deal with like the competitiveness or like maybe like the cattiness and the aesthetic? And I don't care because I'm really good at my job. I'm not in the industry to like make friends. I am friendly and I make friends easily. I have no problem with like making friends and learning from people learning from me. I love that. I'm extremely community oriented, but I also want to be great. So like, if you're getting in the way of me being great, which affects how I am able to inspire other people, which affects the way that I'm able to help other people in my community, affects the way that I'm able to help, my clients and clear people's skin, then you have to go. Like, I don't really care too much about you being here. Sorry.
Period. No, you're okay.
Yeah. So, right. So I think, while competition has a bad rap or name, I don't think that it should. I think more women should be competitive. And I think there's that quote from, I can't remember, I'm gonna say her name wrong, so I'm not gonna say it, but that Nigerian feminist on the Beyonce's album, and on Flawless,
Yeah.
she said something about women should be competitive for like jobs and like money and
Yes.
career achievements and things like that. And that always struck me because again, like as an athlete, I am always really competitive, and not being an athlete anymore, sometimes I didn't always have a good avenue for that competitiveness to go. I remember when I was like in my early 20s, like sometimes it would get like projected onto other women, which as I would get older, I'm like, okay, well, that was dumb because I don't even really care about men being tough either. You know what I mean? So like, why am I doing this? But I also just realized that like I am naturally competitive, and I need a good outlet to be competitive. Something actually constructive and beneficial. And I've definitely found that in aesthetics and just in business as general. Business is hard. Business is tough. And you really got to like get in the weeds and like really like thug it out often.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of my competitiveness and grit really comes in. Like what I learned through being an athlete is like sometimes you got to like get in the lab and get really, really focused and not worry about what anybody else is doing, not worry what anybody else is saying. Put your blinders up and go get it. You know, like that is competitiveness, not necessarily the competitiveness or like the back and forth. Like that gives competitiveness a bad name. I don't think that is, you know, valuable or necessary.
Yeah.
Competitive.
Girl, that was so good. Yes, that was good because I'm a competitive girly, and I think the difference between people who get it and the people who don't are the people who seriously get out there and they want it. Like, you
Yeah.
know, you have to have a certain level of like, I'm doing this and I'm good at it. I know what I'm doing. It doesn't matter if she's doing it too. And if she is, like, maybe we could work together. Like, what's working for you? What clients are you serving? Like, there's just so much that can come from
Yeah. But
going
also,
for it
if it
together.
doesn't work and if you don't want to work together, so what? Who
It's
cares? She
cool.
doesn't have to be your friend, you know? She doesn't, if you ask her something about some technique, she doesn't have to tell you. Maybe you have to learn it the hard way. You
Ooh.
know, like sometimes, you know, sometimes that's what it is. And it's like, again, I think sometimes people are looking for like friends and like sorority when it's business. It's
Business.
hard. It is hard. And if I don't know what that girl did. If she spent hundreds of thousands of dollars
Thousands.
to learn what she learned, she doesn't have to tell you. Sorry.
I don't know.
She might, if she wants to, you know, like I'm very generous and very like forthright with like my information. I love telling people things. I love helping, but I don't have to either.
You don't. And not everybody has to, but I
Yeah.
think social media makes it to where people think that that's like entitled. Like, because I did it, now I have to now tell you. And we do want to crack doors and leave them open, but at the same time, like, now, girl, so at some point we got to do some work.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's mad at hearing that, but like, we got to do the work.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It is hard.
And you also, like, with your content too, you're just so transparent. That makes such a huge difference, you know, if like maybe you didn't intentionally think like, okay, and this is, you know, I'm gonna be the one who's I'm the one, right? Like maybe you didn't think that initially, but it is built for you in that way because that's who you are. And so it just aligns perfectly with your path, the way that you share your struggles, things that you've went through, your journey. And I think one time, like, you made this post where you were on there and you were kind of mentioning like, I just don't feel like it. I haven't been feeling good. I haven't been feeling like myself. People don't say that. And so when people see that safe space to land, it's like, oh damn, like she's real. She's got her own journey that she's going through, and it's very similar to my journey, and people see themselves in that, and it will forever serve you. It will be the reason why you continue to crash the ceiling, right? And be in spaces where others aren't, and then create that opportunity for those people to get in those spaces too. And it is a huge honor for me to get the chance to sit down and talk with you today and have you share with the audience. And I think a good place to wrap this up is there anything that you look back now in your career and your journey? And I mean, you've accomplished so many things. Is there anything you look back now you wish you could tell the person before that? Like the version of yourself right before those things were about to happen? What would you tell them?
That's a good question. I'd say so. Always on my journey, I'm always like I'm working hard and I'm going towards the things that I want to go to, and I'm doing it scared and all of these things. But there's always like this little tiny voice in the back of my head that's like, what if it doesn't work out? And I just want to tell myself that like it does. Chill out. Because it's really like when I first moved to LA, I lived in a studio in not in LA, in Hawthorne, which is like a little bit, I want to say 45 minutes outside of LA. Hated that studio. It was rats and roaches. I was driving like 45 minutes back and forth to my studio in Beverly Hills. And it's funny because I remember I had done a facial party for a few friends. They weren't friends. They're friends now. They weren't friends at the time. They were just friends of friends. And I had done a facial party. I did it because they were popular. But like, you know, I was just trying to get my name out there. I bring my whole like kit with me. It's hard to walk with like
hard.
And the kit of products, making a mess and trying to keep everything upright, and then the big old like massage bed to open. It was hard, right? And like it was awful. I hated it. I hated every second of it.
It's the worst.
And I was doing it for free. I was doing it like for promotion, which I'm actually very big on, like doing things for free sometimes. I think when you give more than you get, in the beginning, it establishes trust and it makes you good. It makes you like, you can't practice only on people who are paying you. You know, like that's not practice. That's like showtime, you know, like you have to like get in the lab a little bit and like do things for free. So I'm doing the things for free. And I remember listening to, this is going to sound so stupid. It sounds so stupid, but it's so real. I was listening to, what was Cardi's first song? It's not called Bloody Shoes. I remember. Why can't I remember the name of the song?
What is it? Bodak Yellow? Is it?
Yeah, Bodak Yellow. Yes. And the whole thing of Bodak Yellow is how she got it out the mud, right? It's like a very triumphant song. But I don't got it. Like, I'm not doing good. I remember even like a week before, I had done like a consultation and the person didn't like the consultation and they like they did a chargeback for like $75. And I was freaking out. Free $75 shouldn't make you freak out. But like I was down bad. Like I didn't have it. This is probably 2017 maybe. And I'm listening to Bodak Yellow over and over and over again because it's such like a triumphant song that like it helped me get through like that moment that I was going through. And then come years later, I end up doing Cardi's facial just because you know, people on Twitter like promote, like not the word promoted, but they were shouting me out. You know, Cardi was looking for an esthetician and everybody was like, you have to go to her. And I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity without, you know, like people supporting me. And I wouldn't have gotten it without doing the free facial. And I wouldn't have gotten it without listening to fucking Bodak Yellow, which is the most ridiculous song. Because it's like a club song, but like it's very, like if you listen to the words, it's very triumphant.
Oh, I know it.
And, I was just like, damn, that's so cool. And I wish I could have told her that you'll be fine. You know, like you got this. I hate crying, truthfully.
I do not. I love crying so much.
As I've gotten older, I've become such a baby.
It's so
every time I talk, I'm just like, but no, like I tell her that like if you keep going, you'll do it. So like don't trip, you know. And it's hard not to trip because it's so hard, especially in aesthetics. I think a lot of people coming to aesthetics are coming from a place of like maybe other things didn't work out.
Brokenness,
or other things are too expensive. So like almost sometimes this is like the best you can get and you're just trying to make it work. And I know that it's real. I've had people in my class, you know, pivoting from other jobs. I've had people in my classes, you know, they're moms of like 4 and they just got divorced and they're kind of starting over. And like I get it, you know. Being an esthetician is very hard. And then there's also not a clear direction as like what to do or where to go. And I feel that very deeply. But I find that if you just, like I said, keep going in the directions of the things that light you up. Again, the industry is so big. Like there's so many things that you can be doing. And it needs to be fun and it needs to make you light up and it needs to make you twinkle. But it's possible. Like there's a lot possible in the industry. And a lot of us are getting it out the mud, and I want to see that continue, because I really do believe estheticians are like the life like of their communities. Mostly women, you know, a lot have kids, a lot have a lot riding on them, but they're business owners, and they're, you know, they're doing it, and they make the community, they make people like feel better, they make people look better, but not in a way that's like vain. I think when people look better, they feel better, and they're able to go out and like do their best. Something silly, but like someone getting your eyebrows done before like a meeting can make you more productive in the meeting, you know, like it sounds silly, but it means a lot to me, and I think it means a lot to other estheticians as well. And yeah, like I would tell myself, and I would tell anyone, like go like in the weeds and like in the thick of it and feeling lost and like confused, that like there's a place for you in the industry. Like you just have to like lock into who you are and what you bring to it. Be very open-minded and creative, and like be willing to try new things, and yeah, and like learn and study. Like that's another reason why I'm so big on like the science of it, because I think once you learn and like you actually know what you're talking about, like that gives you like gumption, like that gives you like
audacity,
the roots, yeah, to stand tall. It's like, no, I know what I'm talking about. I'm not doing it just because I saw someone do it. I'm doing it because I just read 4 books on it. And you can't say shit to me about it. Yeah, that's a lot of the reason why I focus on education. And even from like a the standpoint of my clients, I want people need to know how to take care of themselves, you know. Like that is foundational and fundamental to like being a human and being you know, feeling empowered and feeling strong and being able to go out in the world and do whatever you need to do. You know, like you need to know how to take care of yourself. And whether it's putting on a pretty dress, whether it's how to do your hair, it's stressful. And I want to make it less stressful for people. You know, like I want people to help feel happy and free, and cared for, and be able to go do their best. I want to live in a world where people are doing their best, you know? So like if what I can offer helps people get there, then, you know, I'm happy with that. So yeah, my face feels so it is hard, but yeah, that's definitely what I would say.
Oh, girl. That was beautiful. But also really true and really real, and I appreciate you sharing it and being open and comfortable to share that with us too. I am someone who in my life has always been raised by like a strong Black woman, right? So like crying was not like a thing that you got to do often. And now that I'm older, anything, I mean, girl, like it don't matter. I'm like, oh my God. It's good. Because when you think about what you've been through to get to it, it's just insane. Nobody would ever believe you, right? If they didn't see it. And most people don't see it, right? They don't see the declined payments or, you know, the anything. Like they don't see the stress of it and the weight of it all. And so when you share it, it makes it real for people to know that like, and you can get through it too.
Yeah.
And there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like the skincare industry is growing so big and rapidly that there's just so many opportunities, you know. There really are, and I don't necessarily know that we have all seen them, and like they haven't all actualized yet, you know. Like there's a lot of people, maybe people listening, you know, in 5 years, $1 million business in their community, you know, like they just don't know it yet. So keep going.
Man, that's what we love to hear. Well, I just want to tell you thank you so much for coming on the channel and sharing your insight. It literally makes little girl me like so proud to be in this position to connect with other people who I feel like who truly get it and want to make a difference. That is insane, and I can't thank you enough. And what you're doing is shaping the industry, and it may not feel like, sometimes it doesn't feel like you're that person, but girl, it's you.
Thank you.
It's you. So it's you, and I can't wait to see 5 years from now what all you're doing, and then like I can't wait to meet you in person and see how.
I can't wait too.
I'm gonna come out there.
Yes, you should. Where are you based? Oh, you're Wichita?
Girl, yeah, Kansas. So if you've never been to Wichita, That's
I have
okay.
not.
You don't need to. You don't need to. It's
The
okay.
closest I've been, my husband's from Oklahoma. Oklahoma.
Oh,
That's the
nice.
closest that I've been.
That's close.
Not that it's that close.
It's only 2 hours though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only 2 hours for me. So like, when I talk to other people who have these long commutes, like that's nothing,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a big deal. Yeah, we'll have to find a time. I'm planning on opening a flagship store for the first facial bar in my area. So that's going to be happening at the first of the year. I actually have a studio currently, but there will be a time. We'll find a way to connect.
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
sure.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, everybody knows how to find you, but if they don't, in the off chance, what are your socials?
Yes, I am LaBeautyologist on everything. You can search me on YouTube as LaBeautyologist. I think it also comes up as the Golden RX. I'm pretty sure I made it so that both use searches lead to me. But yeah, LaBeautyologist on literally every social platform.
Amazing. And I know you mentioned you have mentorships and a masterclass that's available. I will get the information to link so that people can connect with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have openings or not. If there's a wait list, y'all get on it. I don't know, but we are going to get you connected.
Yes, I'm opening a mentorship cohort in the beginning of the year for like a just a select group. So that you get my masterclass, but you also get one-on-ones with me and like group coaching, but group what's the word I'm looking for? A community, so you can also talk to each other. It's mostly for marketing and branding and marketing.
Nice.
Yes, so
That's
eventually
a need.
yeah, the goal is to open have master classes for like a lot of different areas in aesthetics. I really want to get into like the technical side of it too. But for now it's marketing and branding because that's a very easy thing to do remotely.
Yes, it is. And that's amazing. So I will definitely get that information so that people can connect with you. I'll update the links as well. But I just want to thank you for coming on this show. And I can't thank you enough. And you guys, you don't have to go anywhere. We actually have an entire Do You Hear Me playlist. So sit back, relax. The next episode's loading for you now.